This week, the beautiful, gorgeous, incredibly smart trolls have a grud match against the short, stunty, fairly stinky dwarves. This is round number 3 of the square-based online tournament. This is my game against Slayer. Had a really good time, really enjoyed this game. A lot of fun. It's a classic pairing, isn't it? Orcs and goblins, admittedly mostly trolls, against the dwarves. Grudge match for the ages. Love to see it. So, I was playing my square-based online list. This is something that I really want to tweak going forwards. I feel like I need a little bit of ranged control. I've been really feeling the lack of that in the square-based online event. But we have what we have, and, it is what it is. We've got Ogdras, who has a level 3 caster, has the Lore Familiar upgrade built in, no spells from Troll Magic and Elementalism, so can pick from both lores there. We've got an Orc Warboss on Wyvern with Great Weapon, Heavy Armor, Trollhide Trousers, Charmed Shield, and Dethinkin Orc's Hat. What that means is I am a 3-up save at range. I've got a single 5-up ward, basically in case someone hits me square on the head with a cannonball or a grudge thrower. And I've also got a 5-up rerollable regen save from the Trollhide. The Troll Detachment. Basically, because I'm playing Troll Horde, any regen I have, I get to reroll against non-magical attacks. This is also the only regen in my list that I get against flaming attacks. Flaming doesn't turn off the Trollhide Trousers. Just another thing that makes them really incredible. So, Warboss and Wyvern, fairly punchy, got a great weapon, fairly tanky, only has a single-use ward save, but gets to reroll its ward save, regen. Then there's the Troll Hag, who is a general, level 1 wizard, Troll Magic, Talisman of Protection. This model is unbelievably tanky. You assume you'll be able to kill it. It's only 6 wounds with T5, but it's got a 5-up armor save, a 5-up ward, and then a 5-up rerollable regen, assuming it's not magic or flaming attacks. So, gives you an 18-inch bubble of leadership, which is very valuable, and you can also use that to extend out the range of your big smarts, the signature spell of the Troll Lore, which is good to have there. Into the court, there's 2 units of Goblin Spider Riders with short bows, and there's a big brick of 8 stone trolls with great weapons, a smaller brick of 6 with great weapons, and then there's 2 river trolls outside of core, just into special, with great weapons, and there's 11 Orc Boar Boys with shields, cavalry spears, heavy armor, big uns, and they also have a magic banner, which isn't listed on here, which I always forget the name of. It's the one that gives me +1 strength on the charge. So basically, they're strength 6, AP2 on the charge. I've got lots of thoughts about Boar Boys. I've done a video on that. Check it out if you want to hear more. But this list is, it has 1 mode, violence. It has next to no shooting damage. So what that means is I have to dictate the pace of the game. I have to go forwards. And against something like Dwarves, who might be running a gunline, that is concerning. You definitely need to take the initiative and get up the board as fast as possible. So, what am I getting up the board against? Slayer's list is, first of all, Anvil of Doom, Rune of Spellbreaking for an auto-dispel if you're in range, and then a Rune of Preservation. I'll be honest, I get the name of the Dwarf runes mixed up in my head. I think that's the one that gives you a ward save, something along those lines. There's a 50-point Dwarf Engineer, just on its own. There is a Thane on Shield Bearers, BSB, Rune of Battle, Rune of Parrying. It's a very tanky model, basically, that gives a chunk of combat res to the unit that it's in. There's a unit of 17 Quarrelers with great weapons as well, so this is sort of like a quasi-ranger unit, but cheaper. Then there's 15 Rangers, fully upgraded, great weapons, shields, crossbows, throwing axes. Rangers are definitely one of the units that really benefit from Line Hammer, so seeing them here, 15, good number. I'd like to see more, honestly, but they are solid. 5 Thunderers, just a unit of 5, cheap chaff, fills out your core. Makes sense. Then there is a cannon, a grudge thrower, 14 iron breakers, a gyrocopter, and also 10 iron drakes and 5 iron drakes. Hiding the thing that I'm most scared of there. So 15 iron drakes. Iron drakes do have flaming attacks, so that is quite a concern for my trolls. Basically, what I'm concerned about, this mountain pass, my opponent can deploy quite far back. Yes, not all of the shooting is super efficient at long range, but I don't really want to have to deal with getting shot to pieces. So I really need to sort of deploy in the line, go first, get up the board, start pounding away as much as possible. Speaking of flaming attacks, Anvil of Doom has a flaming magic missile. Bound spell ruin. You're just doing magic, dwarves. Get over yourselves. Okay, deployment. So, I had less drops. I won the roll-off, so I got my opponent to start dropping first. He started off by putting down some Thunderers and some Iron Drakes up in the top corner here, just sort of baiting out with the smaller units. I put down the Goblin Spider Riders and the other squad of Goblin Spider Riders back here, making sure that I left space for the Troll Hag. I knew that I wanted her to be in the front line, because she's one of the slowest models in the list. Only a 5-inch move is really slow, even though I can buff that up a little bit. Moving on, my opponent wasn't really certain how he wanted to defend against me. I had made sure to pick the map that didn't have a hill, just tucked in somewhere that would be a problem for me. So there's the impassable buildings here. There are the woods here back a little bit. So my opponent decided to put both of his war machines down here, along with the Anvil of Doom, and then defend it a little bit with the Iron Drakes, the Quarrelers, the Rangers as well, and just sort of go for a little bit of a kill zone. I was going to have to run straight into that. In theory, my opponent is able to sort of, pivot around here. I charge into the center, and he gets some flank charges off after weakening me in the shooting phase. That's the theory, anyway. Iron Breakers behind the Quarrelers is a good shout. I really like having a defensive unit behind a missile unit, so you can stand and shoot, lose the combat, fall back through the unit, then have an actual combat break to deal with whatever has charged you. As for myself, there's not a lot of subtlety with this list. Small stone trolls, big stone trolls, boar boys, war boss behind the wall. I really didn't want to take cannonballs early. Troll hag on the line. Again, didn't want to take cannonballs early, but didn't have much of a choice. Both sets of Goblin Spider Riders down. Hey, I'm done. Nice and easy. Ogres is tucked in the back there with a squad of 2 River Trolls as well. The reason I've gone for the River Trolls for the unit of 2 is they get an extra wound, and the unit I've gone for the big... the reason I've gone for the big units being Stone Trolls is they get magic resist 1 and a better armor save. So everyone I've played so far has had copious amounts of flaming attacks, including multiple battle magic casters where possible. So just giving you some defense against Ruby Ring of Ruin and Fireball is very important. Enough about that. So moving on to the roll-off for first turn, I got the +1 and I got first turn. As you can see here, I have full centered. There's not a huge amount that got done. I cast Big Smarts here in the center with the Troll Hag first. I cast Big Smarts here with the Ogres as well. I cast Ravenous Recourse, the one that gives you plus a 2-inch move to all of your stupid units. And I also cast Rapid Regeneration on the Boar Boys. So a fairly fruitful command phase. Got all my buffs off, marched everyone up as far as possible. The Goblin Spider Riders here moved up just far enough to start peppering away at the Iron Drakes. I figured I don't really want to get in this range, so why do that? I've got the movement to get closer if I need to. Next turn, just get some shortbow shots off. Wyvern's full center of the wall as well. I really want to start dealing with this big chunk down in the woods. I'm no stranger to having to make charges in woods. Lots of dwarf players like putting their artillery in there, which I think is a fantastic choice, and it's a real pain in the backside to deal with for a melee army. So yeah, all I've done, full sent forwards everything, come over to the side here, try to narrow in a little bit. I have bottlenecked myself a little bit here. It's not too bad, but I think what I would do in future is maybe look at putting the 8 squad here, the 6 squad here, and the Boar Boys here. And then that gives me a little bit more flexibility to go up this way or down here. But all good learning lessons. So moving on, nothing else done. No ranged attacks or no meaningful ranged attacks. Nothing happened up here. I don't think any of the Iron Drakes actually died. Moving on to Slayer's first turn. Gyrocopter moves up to support the Iron Drakes, or to at least set up to deal with the Spider Riders if they fail their job. Everything else pretty much stays still. There's a full barrage of shots coming out. The Iron Drakes at the top do a single wound to the Spider Riders. Pretty much everything in the center lines up into the Boar Boys, actually. A lot of shots go into the Boar Boys, and the cannon is lined up to shoot through the front 2 ranks of the Stone Trolls, who I've made sure to position so I'm not giving a flank. That would be really sad if a cannon managed to hit, all 4 here and then 2 or 3 in this squad. So Slayer hits 2 into the squad there, and it bounces into the Troll Hag as well. So really, works out really nicely. One of the Trolls dies, the other one lives. No, I think I passed the regen on the second cannonball wound, and then the ward save of the Troll Hag prevents her from taking any damage. As for the Boar Boys, I think I lose a couple of models, 2 maybe. The regen making, doing a lot of work for me there, which is nice. And I take a single wound on the Wyvern. I can't quite remember that was from. I'm assuming it's from the Iron Drakes in front of them. Probably that Trollhammer torpedo getting through and then just rolling a single one on the damage. Then onto my turn. I make some charges, or I declare some charges at least. Up in the top, I do declare that I fail my impetuosity, first of all. So the Spider Riders have to charge, which is not really what I want to do because the stand and shoot from this unit is vicious. I also declare here into the Iron Drakes as well. They decide to stand and shoot as well. So down at the bottom, stand and shoot goes very poorly for Slayer. I get the charge off. Nothing, don't take any wounds. Up in the top, 4 of the 5 remaining models die, which is a little bit sad for me, but not too bad. This is where the bottleneck starts to hurt me a little bit because there's quite a narrow frontage to get through. Everything else just full sends through. Again, I get all of the spells off that I need to cast my Rapid Regeneration, my Ravenous Recourse, Big Smarts. I think I have to recast on one of the 2 models. I can't remember which one, but all goes well for me there. Everything else just moves up as much as possible. That was it. I think the squad of 8 or 7 now declared a charge into the Thunderers, and they fled, which is why I'm a little more bottlenecked than I would like here, and I'm not as far forwards as I possibly could have been. On to combat. Down in the bottom here, I kill, I think it was 6 of the 10 Iron Drakes. We get through the combat, and my opponent goes, I should have challenged. Which neither of us had remembered at the time. So that would have gone a lot better for him. Onto combat, the Wyvern does massacre a good chunk of the Iron Drakes there. Realistically, my opponent should have challenged, and he did remember that sort of halfway through his next turn. But, it's what it is. Nobody plays perfectly. I definitely don't this game. And does end up meaning that he uses the stubborn and they fall back in good order. I follow up and I'm positioned to do some damage in my next turn. Everything else just moves up. Nice and easy. Not too much to say there. On to Slayer's turn. This is where it all needs to go well. So, from this positioning here, there are some charges declared. So the Thunderers with great weapons actually declare a charge into the Boars, which I wasn't expecting. And I can't countercharge because you can't countercharge into infantry. So I'm sort of sat there going, I think I lose this combat. I've only got loads of strength 4 attacks with no AP, so I think I just lose. So I decide to flee with the Boar Boys, which my opponent wasn't expecting, but also I wasn't expecting setting that up. But I think fleeing from a bad charge is probably something I need to do more to and set up more as well. So that charge happens up here. Other than that, no other charges declared. There's nothing else for the the Quarrelers to redirect into. So they just sort of stumble forwards as far as they roll, which isn't very far. Dwarves are pretty stunty. And the Thunderers move forwards to try and prevent a charge here. Basically, where they are prevents me from wheeling in with this unit. So I could charge in, but then it would be a really disordered charge. My opponent's great weapons would get to strike at the same time as mine, which is significantly worse for me. So that's where we are over here. On the flank, the Gyrocopter moves up and flames the last remaining Spider Rider to death. Gone but not forgotten. Immediately forgotten. And then there are 5 Iron Drakes there that wheel round to take some pot shots at the other squad of Spiders, which were in marching column just to save some space. Kills a single one there. Other than that, the shooting doesn't do all that much. A single wound is taken over here in the centre by the 2 River Trolls. My opponent tried to thin them out to be able to deal with Ogres, who is laying down those buffs, being a really efficient buffing piece for me this game. But other than that, not really much dies. In combat, down in the bottom left, the down here, where are we gone? Yeah, in combat down the bottom left, the Wyvern wins combat, is challenged out. We both remember this time. My opponent breaks and falls back in good order, I think it is. I decide not to follow up, The reason being, there is a Grudge Thrower here, a Cannon here, and a Anvil of Doom there. So I'm lined up perfectly. I couldn't have planned it better. It was what I was trying to go for, but I couldn't have planned it better. To charge one War Machine, immediately overrun, kill it next turn, and then overrun into the Anvil of Doom on my next turn. So really happy with how this combat is sort of set up. Yes, there's going to be 3 Iron Drakes left, but whatever. I'm looking to deal with the big value pieces. So I'd say Slayer's turn goes better for me than it does for him, although this traffic jam in the centre is a little bit of a pain in the backside. Onto my third turn, there are a lot of charges declared. So how does this go? I believe, first of all, the Troll Hag. Yes, that's right. So the Troll Hag charges into the long line of Quarrelers here, the ones with the great weapons. The unit of Stone Trolls also declare a charge into them, because it is easier to do that than anything else. I think that is correct. No, sorry, that's not right. The Trolls here declare a charge into the unit of 5 Thunderers that are just taking up space in the centre there. So Troll Hag into the big unit of Quarrelers, the unit of 7 there into the sideways unit of Thunderers. And I think that's about it for my charges. I passed my rally test for the Boar Boys. They just use their movement to come back in. The unit of 6 moves forwards as far as possible. The Spider Riders reform around the centre and shoot back into the Iron Drakes, actually killing one, which is a fairly impressive result for poison shortbows versus actual dwarves. And other than that, Ogdras and his bodyguard just shuffle up into the centre. Over to combat. Everything goes pretty much as I'd like it to. Down at the bottom here in the left, the Wyvern charges into the Grudge Thrower, kills it, takes a wound from the dangerous terrain on the overrun. Don't worry, it's not the Grudge Thrower crew doing actual damage to me. So one War Machine down, the second one overran into, which is great. The Troll Hag challenges out and... or is challenged out, I should say. I have to accept the challenge because it's the only model in combat, the only champion in combat. I roll on the table and I roll the 5 or a 6, which is D6. I think it's like D6 plus 1 auto hits at strength 6, AP 2. Weirdly, I max out combat rares. The Dwarves, they're Dwarves. They fall back in order. They break, well, not break and flee, but they fall back in good order through the big combat unit in the centre here and set up for my Troll Hag to take a bit of a beating next turn. I'm slightly concerned about that because she's tanky, but she's not that tanky. And then over here, surprisingly, I take 2 wounds from the unit of 5 Thunderers there, and I only kill 2 back. So it's not looking great for this combat, surprisingly. So I do follow up there. Obviously, just want to continue to hit my opponent and make it difficult for the Rangers to do anything. Yeah, that's about it for that turn. I'm feeling good about things. The Boar Boys down at the bottom are set to get a flank charge. Assuming that the Troll Hag doesn't die, set up to get a flank charge into this big combat unit in the centre. So I'm feeling pretty okay about things. For some reason, didn't manage to get a screenshot here of Slayer's turn, but just cliff notes of what he did on his turn 3. The Gyrocopter up top flew over the unit of Spider Riders, bombed one to death. The Iron Drakes shot another one as well. Over here, for some reason, the Trolls fled. I think they fled to combat resolution, to be honest. I think somehow they completely whiffed and they broke in combat and fled back to behind Ogdras over here in the centre of the board. This long unit of Quarrelers reformed around the point just to get as many shots into the Boar Boys as possible. And I killed the cannon, unsurprisingly, and overran into the Anvil of Doom there as well. So, surprisingly good turn, actually, for how it's looking. Slayer's turn, he does manage to get one of the big threats in the centre of the board away from him for a turn, buys him a little bit more time to do some shooting. On to my turn 4. Ogdras decides to charge the Gyrocopter, because Mama didn't raise no coward. The squad of 2 River Trolls decide that they want to full yeet to try and mop up the points in the bottom corner here, the Engineer and the Iron Drakes. That's what they're going for. The Boar Boys charge into the long line of Quarrelers here, and the Troll Hag charges, I think, into the Quarrelers as well. There's been some interesting reform shenanigans, basically, to get them where they are. Otherwise, the unit is 6 trolls, charges into the large unit of rangers there, and the spider riders sort of just shufty around a little bit, take some shots into the Iron Drakes. So, charge responses, over in the top, the Gyrocopter runs away, which is very funny because there is a chance that it could kill Ogdras, or at least tie it up. I just didn't feel safe about having it right next to me, being able to bomb me and also shoot me. That felt a little rough. The bigger unit of trolls here does rally and just sort of positions to try and mop up whatever issue it needs to in the center. The Boar Boys do absolute work on the models behind them, the Thunderers, Quarrelers. I keep calling them the wrong thing. The big unit of Quarrelers, and just wipe them to a man, which is très magnifique. Exactly what you want to see when you're playing against the stunties. The Troll Hag as well does a little bit of damage into the squad. I think I am challenged out by the champion from memory. My opponent's hoping to deal with me through combat res, but I am unbreakable. So not a winning plan, but also a pretty good plan to delay the game, because at this point it's just a case of deal with the bad situation you're in more than anything else. Combat down here, 1 wound goes each way from the Wyvern boss and the Anvil, and I think nothing happens. That's it. Or no, I think I win due to calling a war, so push my opponent back a whole 2 inches. Yeah. Other than that, not much happens. Combat here is pretty uneventful. Combat over here is pretty uneventful. Well, sorry. The combat here is very eventful. The Thunderers, Quarrelers are dead, and over here, very uneventful. Not much happens. On to Slayer's turn numero 4. The Gyrocopter, again, tries to bomb Ogdras, but doesn't manage to get anything done. The Quarrelers, the Rangers, God, Dwarves, stop having crossbows and great weapons on the same unit. It's just confusing. The Rangers actually win the combat against the Dwarf, the Troll unit there, which I wasn't expecting. So they fall back in good order and completely block the charge. I was hoping to go a little bit further and flee through the unit, but instead they just, yeah. I got nothing. Other than that, down at the bottom, the Troll Hag is again challenged out, but in this case, the Boar Boys are in combat with the big unit as well. So I do win the combat here, do a single wound into the Battle Standard Bearer on Shield Bearers, so not too much. I think it's the Big Blast template that I rolled a 1 or a 2, so really bad in the challenge. But the Boar Boys do absolutely churn some attacks into that squad, which is going very nicely. Over here in the combat, the Anvil, I do a single wound to, does no wounds back to me. I just pivot on the spot because I want to have the freedom to charge into the big unit here, the big static combat res unit. Now that the Boar Boys aren't charging, it's going to take me a long while to chip through them. So I can happily charge into them and then come back and deal with the Anvil another time. The Anvil scares me a lot less than the thing that's tying up my general and the Boar Boys as well. Yeah, other than that, for Slayer's turn, just sort of spaces out. Engineer moves us around, and the Iron Drakes move up to try and get some shots on the 2 River Trolls there, but don't manage to do any damage. In fact, I think they had to march, maybe, from memory. Into turn 5, this is where the mop-up begins. So, the Wyvern charges into the flank of the big unit, and the Troll Hag remains in combat from the front. The River Trolls march around the side here to get close to the Iron Drakes. Ogdras chases up the Gyrocopter. I want that glorious melee, and you cannot deny me. Other than that, I just form here on the spot to make it so when I take the inevitable charge, I actually get to do something. And yet again, I'm move blocked in by myself by the second unit of trolls. Something I really need to work on. It's definitely a problem that I've been experiencing in a lot of games. Over here, though, absolutely slaughter the big brick with the Wyvern boss and the Troll Hag between them. And unfortunately, I fail my test to reform. So, to my test to restrain, sorry. So I just overrun into the side of the Troll Hag, which is funny, but not good. Into Slayer's turn 6, the combat goes well for him here. So what happens is the Rangers win the combat. I break and flee away from them. And I think over here it's just a case of I've reformed to position to try and deal with the Iron Drakes. But yeah, failing and running away from combats quite frequently, and then not being caught by Dwarves with their little stumpy legs is a fairly common occurrence, I'm finding. Down at the bottom here, the Rangers unload into the Trolls and do a fair whack of damage. And other than that, not much to do. My opponent is down to quite a few, or not very many units, I should say. Yes, so doesn't, for some reason, add up all the points, but because not much died for me, I lost both units of Spider Riders here. My opponent lost most of his army, lost the Anvil, lost the Dwarf, the Thane, the big combat break there, the Quarrelers, the Rangers were still alive, but then all the small stuff, the War Machines, the Iron Breaks, the Iron Drakes, all went there. So a solid victory for the Trolls, which is good. It's been a lot of playing into gunlines, and it was quite nice to catch a gunline in melee and absolutely break it apart. Let me know what you want to see. I've got another game into Dwarves with Troll Horde again this week coming. Haven't organised to play that one yet, but that is one thing that I could look at doing a battle report of. Or if you're more interested in seeing something like Skaven or another army next week, do let me know. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, there's a link to subscribe over here. I really appreciate the support I've received over the last few months, and I'm looking forward to improving the channel and bringing you more content as the months go on. Down below are all the links. There's the Element affiliate link, all of our links to Discord, the 40k sister channel, everything else that we're doing down below. And on this side, there's another video. You don't have to click it, but you could. You could click it.